Well, ain't that a humdinger? Today we find ourselves on the Coconino National Forest. We are on Forest Road 141, I believe, Jones Crossing. We're attempting to get to Forest Road 300. That is the rim road. Forest Road 300, Mogollon Rim Road. I don't know if there's any other names that I missed. However, the first two access points were closed due to a fire. They were in the more western vicinity of the rim road. I believe this will get us past the fire danger area. If not, we will find a suitable place to do our duties today. Okay, we have made it past the closure, and we are out on the rim road. Let's start out with a disclaimer. First off, what I want to do today is show you what I carry as far as what pieces of equipment I carry, not what brand they are, so there will be no links below. If it is contextually important, I will divulge whatever brand it is. I don't have an affiliate link to Amazon. I don't have a sponsorship. All of this stuff was purchased by me. And this is a kit that I have put together over the last 15 years or so. It's evolved. It continues to evolve. This is basically the baseline kit. I had it set up for an overnight, which didn't happen. So I figured I'd come out here and unload it for you and show you exactly what I carry. I can take and expand whatever I have here. This is like the universal setup. I can expand whatever I have here into 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 2 weeks, something like that. But generally everything that's in here can be used on longer trips or a one-night trip like I had it set up for here. So I'd like to go over a few things before I get into unloading the bags. Some of the setup around that and things I think may be important. First and foremost, I would like to recommend a personal locator beacon. Pick your poison. I have experience with Spot and with InReach. InReach is the Garmin product. It's essential if you're out by yourself, camping by yourself, especially for extended periods of time. This allows you to have a way to send an SOS to search and rescue parties if you have a catastrophic failure. It gives you a way for someone to monitor your progress. I have at least one person always monitoring my progress. Spot is easier to use, probably about the same monthly cost. The inReach is more expensive by like twice than the Spot unit. However, this gives you the option to use your smartphone to control this, plus it gives you a way to text via satellite. Secondly, I'd like to recommend a purpose-built GPS system, not your phone. I would also like to recommend you bring maps. I find phones unreliable. I know that is the go-to thing for most people, overlanding, off-roading. However, I really think, at least as a backup, you should have a hard GPS device plus maps, paper copy, analog maps of the place you're riding, especially if you're going there to an unfamiliar place for extended amount of days. Also, you should have a toolkit. These two bags comprise my toolkit. There's a bunch of things in there. That is a separate video I will do at a later date. However, you need to have a good amount of tools to get yourself out of nearly any situations. You're not going to replace head gaskets out here or redo your fuel injection system. However, it should be enough to get you out of most situations. Well, as you can probably see, it is raining, a little cloudburst. The weatherman did not tell us about this. However, if you are adventure motorcycling, a little rain on you must fall. So my luggage setup consists of a 70-liter dry bag and two 30-liter saddle bags. I'm going to go over kind of just what it looks like on the outside dimensionally and a couple of things about how I mount stuff. On top of the saddle bags, I use these 1.5 liter Primus bottles. They have a dual purpose like many things I carry. They are strapped with the saddlebag straps. Saddlebag straps are made long enough so that you can mount other dry bags or something like this Primus bottle. Use it as extra fuel. I've had situations where I've been out on the reservation and been a long ways from a gas station and short on fuel. This will give me enough fuel while I'll be able to subtract 20 miles from my push. Also, what I'd like to point out are these are ROX straps. They're a combination of a bungee cord and a ratchet strap or a pull strap or something like that. It gives you the best of both worlds. It makes easy access in and out. They loop around a frame element, and they have buckles that you just unsnap to let them go, so it's quick access, and they go back to right where they were. So you've got webbing, nylon webbing strap up here, and then a bungee type cord down here. Now, with most saddlebag systems, you will need some type of pannier rack for them, or saddlebag rack, however you want to put it. I like to put these on and leave them on. They're additional protection for my exhaust, and they also give you a little bit of space if the bike does go down off-road. It'll keep that part of the bike up and keep some of the damage down. These particular racks come with a Rotopax mount, and I have mounted a 1-gallon Rotopax water bottle in there. I use that for camp water, for cooking, not necessarily for drinking. It also serves a purpose to wet my cooling vest in hot weather. I can recharge my cooling vest as I go along. Could be for, radiator. If the radiator overheats or something like that and loses fluid, I can also use the water from this in there. Some folks like hard bags. I prefer soft bags for many reasons, one of which is if you do go down, I have the belief that a hard mounted bag will have the capacity to break your leg. These will slide out of the way, maybe even cushion the fall. I have had a situation where I was going along a shelf road and there wasn't enough room. I hit the pannier. I didn't realize it ripped it off when I hit the cliff side of the shelf road. So the shelf road, you've got a cliff on one side, you've got a small road, and then a steep drop off on the other side. When that pannier hit the wall, and I'll put a picture up, when that pannier hit the wall, it actually tore it off. I didn't even realize it was flapping in the breeze back there. I thought I hit an embedded rock. Luckily, if I had hard bags, I believe that would have sent me over the side of the cliff. And I really am a believer. And if you like hard bags, that's fine. Security wise, you can cut these with a knife. I can get into a hard bag with a screwdriver in just about the same amount of time. If you're in a hotel and you're leaving your bike out overnight, you should have your gear ready to just pull out. There's bags that they sell for all panniers. Get your bags out of there, bring anything that's of value into the hotel room. That's kind of what my idea is. Any type of saddlebag system is going to add width to your bike. As my story about the shelf road would demonstrate, you have to be very cognizant of how wide you are. This bike, with just the pannier racks on there, is about 23 inches wide. The bike itself, without the pannier racks, is somewhere around 16 to 18 inches wide, depending on what part of the bike you're at. When you put these panniers on, you go from 18 inches to 41 inches. You more than double the width of the bike. So dimensionally, the Luggage 70-liter dry bag is 30 inches long and 12 inches in diameter. Each of these panniers, or saddlebags, is 9 inches wide. They're about 18 inches tall and 16 inches long. When you set up your luggage system, you want to have some type of methodology so that when you get to camp, things are accessible, they come off the bike in a certain order, and then you can remember through repetition where things go back. Because if you're just hodgepodging things back together, they're not going to fit right. Things are going to get lost, especially if you're on a multi-day trip. You want to be able to put things back exactly where they go. The way I have my bag set up is the dry bag on top has everything to set up camp. If you have inclement weather like we have today, you need to get shelter set up first. First thing you need to do is get out of the weather. Everything else can fall in behind. So everything that's in here, and I will unload these bags, the items that are in here are the tent, the ground cloth, there's anything that I need to get shelter set up. My sleeping bag, air mattress, the cot, all that stuff is in here. There's even the first aid kits in there. So everything you would need when you hit the campsite is right there. It's automatic. It comes right off the bike and goes to wherever your tent site is. In the right side bag, I have all of my food, the cook kit, water. I try to keep the heavier items on this side because I've got this 1 gallon bag, or that 1 gallon bottle of water. On a 500 some pound bike, it probably doesn't matter too much. A few pounds here or there is not going to matter too much balance wise, but I do whatever I can to keep the bike balanced. So the heavier things go over on this side, and then my clothes, my camp shoes, stuff that I'm going to need last, go in the left hand bag. While I was working on the video over there, I just noticed, I don't know if the camera will pick it up. Kind of see it in the viewfinder here, but you can see that rain coming up the rim. This is the Mogollon rim. Between here and the lowest elevation out there, which is Show Low, there's about 1,700 feet, I believe, 2,200 feet, something like that. This is a precipitous drop off right here. This is probably somewhere between 800 and 1,000 feet to the immediate bottom here. The weather from the valley, the moisture gets pushed up against this cliff and shoved directly up and causes rain right at this point up here. You see a lot of that further up on the rim country. Most of Coconino National Forest is on the rim. Some of it does go down off the rim, down by Sedona and in that area, lower elevations down there, but most of it is this pine forest, the Ponderosa Pine Forest, supposedly the largest stand of Ponderosa pines in the world. But the moisture from the valley hits here, gets shoved up, and then it turns to rain when it gets up here, because down in the valley they haven't seen rain in something like 150 days or anything significant as far as rain goes. And it's definitely a lot cooler. Down there it's about 108 to 110 right now, and up here it's in the high 60s, low 70s. All right, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to unload the contents of the bag and describe what they are, and then I'll do a little bit more detail, take the camera up a little bit closer and kind of point some things out. One of the themes that you'll see here is Ziploc bags. Ziploc bags to me are an economical way to store your stuff, and it keeps them dry. Now, a lot of folks may say that, you know, you can buy dry bags or stuff bags, and they'll do the same thing. You'll have them for longer. I find that there is a cost to them. They're at least $5 to $7 per bag, even if you get the multi-packs together. The cheaper ones are suspect of being dry or waterproof. The Ziploc bags cost pennies per bag. They last about, what I've found, probably last about 4 or 5 trips as they decline in usefulness. I can throw them away. I've used them several times, so I feel that I've gotten my use out of them. At about 10-15 cents a bag, it's unbeatable. It keeps them dry, and I will show you how I use them when we get in there. But almost everything is in some type of Ziploc bag, and especially carrying water inside the saddlebag if something bursts or erupts, especially in the food side. If something happens, my clothing or my other items are protected inside the bag from getting wet or getting food on them. All right, when I strap this down, I go through the D-rings on the bag and I go through the handle just as extra protection if something slides off or I, space out and don't do it correctly. It's got some way to hang on at least a little bit, at least when it's bouncing around like that saddlebag did. These are replacement bags, obviously. I can feel something like that happening. So let's pop this apart. Undo the rock straps. And all these bags are rubberized coated on the outside. Oh, when you roll up a dry bag with a roll top, you want to roll away from the weather. So the weather's coming this way because the motorcycle's traveling that way. You want your seam to be not on the leeward edge or the leading edge. You want the softer or the flat side on the leading edge, the seam side. So on the panniers on the side, well, you can't do too much about the weather coming this way. The weather coming this way is blocked. So if you get splashed by an oncoming car or something like that, it's not going to try to get into that roll. So let's pop this open. You want a good 1.5 to 3 rolls to make sure that it's watertight. This right here is a jump kit. I'm not going to take it apart. Provides USB charging and obviously One of my trips up here, this bike, the battery quit on me, and I ended up having to push this thing out 4 or 5 miles. So I've got it's basically just a jumper system. You can look it up on Amazon or wherever you like to buy stuff, and find the best rated one. But it's good to carry, so that's one item. A chair. I'll put a picture of my camp setup in, I think it was on White Rim Trail. This is your ubiquitous camp chair. It's all linked together with bungees. I may set this up, but it's, you know, one of those little chairs with a fabric on it. So it's about that high off the ground. So you need a chair. Your chair, some people have preferences to them, but here's your chair. This is my inflatable mattress. Pick your poison. Some people like inflatable mattresses, some people like pads. I'm not here to argue that, but you need some type of sleeping system. I have acquired, through the generosity of my brother on my birthday, I've acquired a second air pillow. So I have 2 inflatable air pillows. I have a tent. This one is a Kelty Salida 1. Folks talk about getting rid of the bags that are in here to save weight. The 1 or 2 pounds isn't going to make a difference on this bike. This bike is, like I've mentioned before, is over 500 pounds. The gear bags are going to keep your stuff together, gives you a place to put them, protects them from getting ripped or soiled or damaged. I would recommend getting a good hiking tent. If it's your first time and you're not sure that you're going to like camping, adventure camping, solo or motorcycle camping, whatever you want to put it, buy a $40 kiddie tent from either Amazon or Walmart. I did that for a few years and it really worked out well, and it was just because I was cheap, but you know, nothing else. And I had to get rid of some stuff on the way back from trip. $30 tent, if you jettison that to make some room, you don't really care, but a $200 tent, you're going to care about that. My recommendation is to get a 2-man hiking tent. It'll give you enough room to put some more gear in there. I went with 1 to try to just keep things smaller. That was a mistake. 2-man tent, if you're solo, don't buy anything bigger than that. I'd see some setups where they're mounded up. They've got everything under the sun with them. You need to keep things within reason, and a 2-man tent for camping is pretty reasonable, and it'll give you enough room to sleep and have some comfort and have your stuff inside when it's hailing like it is right now. I'm not going to take it all the way out, but I camp year-round with a 0-degree bag. It gives me a little bit more cushioning, and it works pretty well. There's a first aid kit. Here's my cot. I carry a ratchet strap. Now, this tire is very tough to get the bead back on. I lost the bead on the way back from White Rim Trail, and I didn't have a ratchet strap to get it back on. The only way I could get it back on was to let it sit in the sun and get a ratchet strap and put it together. So I always carry a ratchet strap just for that purpose, and they do have other purposes. It actually used 2 of those when my saddlebag got ripped off. Used 2 of those to strap it back on. Garbage bags. I got a couple of these in here for garbage, for inclement weather, keeping my gear dry. Shopping bags. When your boots get wet, you don't want to put your feet back in wet boots, or if your boots are getting wet, you can put these over your feet and keep them dry. Garbage, I use these for camp garbage on the way out. I can use my bungee net on top of this to hold my garbage. in there. Lots of uses for that bungee net. Cordage, parachute cordage. You want to have some type of cordage so you can use that tarp as a rain fly or anything like that. That tarp, this Walmart tarp here, I don't think I got it all the way out, but this Walmart tarp works as a ground cloth, works as a rain fly. Like something like today, I could hook it up in the trees and keep myself dry with it. If you got to work on your bike and it's muddy, you can put this down. There's a ton of uses for this, and it just basically doesn't even take up any room. It just sits in the bottom of this dry bag. In here is just some extra spare tools, like a little screwdriver in case something happens to something, a place to take notes, some repellent, bug repellent, just extra stuff inside a Ziploc bag. Also, this is hands are a little slippery right now. This is a saw, take my word for it. Doesn't want to loosen up, but it is a saw. Comes out the end like a switchblade. Good for camp firewood, for logs that are in the trail. I mean, it'll do probably like a 6-inch log or something like that. If it's something you want to go over, you can cut it out and get the trail open for yourself. That's pretty much it for what's in the dry bag. I don't think there's anything we really need to expand upon of the stuff that's in there. As you can see, we've relocated from our picturesque spot. The rain got heavier, the hail got larger, and there was a lightning strike about 100 yards away. When that happened, I reloaded the bike and we went about 30 or 40 miles away. The storms were still coming through. My camera gear and everything was wet, so the audio was junk. There was some type of short going on, and the audio was junk. I did get the conclusion, which I'll put at the end of this. Before moving on, a couple of things to mention about the bags. You want to make sure that each one is accessible, or as accessible as you can make it. The top bags, the side bags, your tool bags should all be individually accessible. So if you're on the road, you want to be pulling bags off or items off to get to tools or a flashlight or camera equipment, if that's what you've got in there. You want to be able to access everything as easily as possible. I know that's not always possible, but as much as you can, you want to be able to get in each one. And like I said, the top bag is all my camp gear, so this can come off immediately and go to where the tent's being set up. And also, if the bike does fall over, I've got the ability to pop this off, and I've got 20 less pounds on the bike. Another thing going along with the line of multi-uses, this setup can really go over on my Bonneville. I don't know if you can see my Bonneville over there. This top bag can easily be just mounted on that with the same rock straps. Also, the inner bags of this can slide right into the saddle bags on that, so this whole thing can transfer easy in the event that I just want to take a trip with a different bike, or if something happens to one or the other bikes, it can be moved back or forth fairly simply. I just want to hit a couple of things in the top bag. The cot I have not tried yet. It is part of the equipment that I have in here. My next camping trip, I will take a look at that, maybe do a cot versus air pad review on how that's going to work out. I really wanted to be able to get that tested out, but I haven't been able to as of recently. Also, I'm going to set up the chair for you right now so you can see that. I know someone in the comments is going to want to see what the chair is. It's just the ubiquitous camp chair, but here we go. All right, for those who want to see the chair, like I said, it's a regular camp chair. Something demonstrative. I've got 2 of these chairs, and that's why I'm not putting in links in the description to stuff, because these are two different manufacturer chairs bought in two completely different places. One I purchased, the other one was gifted, so they were bought by two completely different people. I'm going to put both of them together and show you that they're the exact same. So doing your own research and finding a good piece of equipment is really up to you. So this is the one that's in my dry bag on the top part of the bike all the time, and they both set up the exact same way. So open it up. Here's the seating part of it. Here is the back and legs, and it comes with these little sand or soft terrain things that you put on the legs so that you don't sink in. There's a little Velcro strap that goes around it, and basically you just let it fall into place. There's bungees inside these aluminum legs. You want to make sure that they all get into their little plastic fittings, otherwise you will bend and break your chair. And it's just remembering what goes where. It is a tight fit. That's what you want. It's going to be taut. And most likely, whatever one you purchase, you want the canvasy fabric towards the bottom. That's what it looks like. A little possibles holder or a cup holder. And basically you just put it on the ground and sit in it. It's nice to have this netting in the back so you don't sweat, but I'm going to set up the other one, put them side by side. So basically these chairs are the exact same. Some slight nuances. There's no netting up here, and in the slats that are in the bottom, there's no webbing in there. I mean, it's, you know, dealer's choice, whatever you're looking for on that, but they are basically the same exact chair. But I highly recommend this type of chair for your camping enjoyment. I had a three-legged stool. I almost fell over backwards and got concussed. That was just a bad choice. It was smaller and everything, but not worth it. The 10% extra room that these things take, you've got a nice back to lean up against every day. It's soft and comfortable to sit on. You're close to the ground, so you can put your drink on the ground. If you don't have cup holders like this one does not. But these type of chairs, personally, I wouldn't spend the money for the brand name one, which is like 4 times what these cost. If one breaks, just sit on the ground for that camping trip and go purchase another one. And I can do that up to 4 times. So this is what I use. These are the chairs. As I mentioned earlier, my right side bag is my mess. So food, water, stuff like that. So once I get this off, get my tent set up, shelters first, food and water second. So let's dig into the right side bag. Again, one of my 1.5 liter bottles of fuel, multi-use in the bike, or I can use as fire starter, multiple different uses for this. Again, like I said, this bag is completely accessible from the side without disturbing the top bag or your tool bag. All right, let's dig in. Carry my water inside Ziploc storage bags. As I drink the water, they can go back in here and use this as a trash bag and throw it out later. So here's the pull-out bag. We'll go through that in a second here. In the bottom, I have a spare knife, a spare lighter, and a 7/16 wrench that I use for multiple different things. Just in case. Also, I have a set of bungees in here, some tie downs, some nylon strapping, and another whole set of rock straps in case I have a failure. Something like one of them touches a exhaust pipe, or something gets cut when the bike goes down, I have a spare set in here, and I'm not trying to chase down a method to get everything tied down again. And lastly, one of the things that I really like to put a bunch of in here is shopping bags, the little shopping bags you get at Fry's and Walmart or wherever you go shopping. They're light, they're easy, they're small, they don't take up any room, and garbage, the multiple uses that I talked about before, there's so much you can do with them, so they're good just to have stuck in here. Okay, we're going to go through the mess bag now, or food bag, however you want to call it. So normally I will take, even if I'm taking fresh food with me, I'll take some dried meals in case whatever happens. It's easier to cook in inclement weather. Your food goes bad, whatever you want, scenario you want to put together. Some instant coffee. Sometimes I'll take real coffee with a coffee press, but I'll take a dinner and a breakfast. Easy access to a lantern. This is just a simple battery operated LED type lantern. Pick your poison on whatever you want to buy there. Again, inside a Ziploc bag, keeps it waterproof, doesn't get damaged. Keep your batteries outside of your battery operated devices so they don't corrode. Adult beverage flask. Later on you'll see the rocket stove, but gas for the rocket stove. So finally in here I've got a stuff sack. It's actually left over from a sleeping bag. It's just, you just stuff your sleeping bag in there, and it actually has worked out really good to put all my cooking gear in there, my mess kit. So inside of here I keep a cheap cutting board, a little plastic cheap cutting board. I have a simple Stanley mess kit. There's a pot in here that is 20 ounces, and there's a couple of plastic cups in there. This works great. I actually have another, I think it's a 16 ounce pot that I use, but this works good for the MREs and for heating up other stuff, coffee, water, things like that. They're cheap. You can get them at Walmart or wherever. I've looked at actual purpose-built titanium or whatever camping pans. They're like $40. Some of the cheap ones don't have lining in it. This was $7. It's got a silicone, Teflon lining, whatever you want to call it. Took the handle off, and I used a pair of vice grips, which I have in my bag here as a handle, and pretty much fry up or cook up anything you want. Cheap. If it gets scratched or it gets broken, dented or whatever, you just throw it away and go get another $5 or $6 pan. Another gas bottle I usually take to one. You always need a backup. If you got one, you got none. If you got two, you got one. So 2 of those. Next up is fresh food. This is just an insulated lunch bag, and I usually don't go very many days with that, so I will put whatever. I'll put a blue ice box in there, a little cooler type ice packs in there, and then whatever meat, vegetables or whatever I'll stick in there, and just roll it up as tight as you can get it, and that'll help with insulating what you've got in there. But rarely do I usually take fresh food with me on a couple of day trip. Next up is my rocket stove, another leftover bag from a piece of gear I got and didn't need it. Actually, some of the stuff comes with like two bags and one's good. So here is just a regular fork and knife kit, cheapest I could find, like $6 or $7. Pick your poison. Rocket stove. So inside this little stuff bag, the stove has a igniter, but I carry a lighter just in case as a backup. Always useful as fire starters. A John Wayne can opener. These are like 97 cents. You can open a can. If you're dying for real food, you can stop by any convenience store or little general store, get a can of food, and you can have a nice hot warm meal. And this just opens it up. You can look on YouTube to find out how you use one. They're pretty easy. And a rocket stove. Rocket stove, just like any other. This is just whenever $9 or $10 one that was on eBay. I'm not going to tell you what kind it is. I don't even know what kind it is. It was cheap and they work. I've got like 3 of them. Pretty much you screw them on the top of one of those bottles. There's a valve there and then an automatic starter. You flip out the arms, you put your pan on top of that, and this is the burner. It's a burner right there. And these things work great. The cheap ones are just fine. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of money on them. If you're nervous about them not being good quality, then take 2. You can buy 2. You can probably buy about 10 of these for what it cost you for a very expensive brand name one, and I don't know that you're really getting much more, but that's up for you for debate with yourself there. Again, everything should have its place. Everything should go back exactly where it came from. It's going to help you out. If everything remains in the same place all the time, you're going to have a better trip and you're going to remember where stuff is and stuff won't get lost. Also, there's my panhandle right there. All right, let's unload this bag. Again, this is the lighter bag. It's got my clothing in it, camp shoes, and this is the side with the 1-gallon roto packs on it. So I'm trying to keep a little balance here. Okay, we'll pop this off. And our fuel bottle. These bags really work very well. Pretty accessible for a roll top bag. Pull out our inner sack. I've got camp shoes, just a cheap pair of shoes. They flatten out pretty good. They fit right down the bottom. They only take maybe 1.5 inches or so at the bottom. Inside, outside of that bag, if that makes sense to you, I carry some extra wires, type C, mini USB, you go and so on and so forth, a couple extra DC charger outlets, that kind of stuff. An additional black garbage bag. Carry a set of levers for the bike in case one of the levers breaks. I've got a brake and a clutch lever here. My second ratchet strap. This one ought to be pretty easy. There's not a whole lot in here. Again, my famous Ziploc bag, stuff bags. This right here this was set up for a 2-day trip. It's got something to sleep in, and I got 2 days worth of undergarments, and I can put up to 2 weeks worth of undergarments in there. I can put 2 days worth of clothes in this. These are outerwear, so it's pants, t-shirt, and overshirt, and I can probably put 2 days worth of stuff in there if I work at it. This is stuff I need, so I've got a couple little small, I wear contacts, so I've got a contact set up in there, and I've got my hand sanitizer because you don't want to get an infection in your eyes, plus I've got a spare set of contacts. I'll also put my glasses in here, so I'll take the glasses I have on my head here while I'm wearing my contacts and put them in here. I know where they are. Little discomfort bag, so I've got some cough drops and some antacid in there. So this is the outhouse kit, if you will. So there's a hand sanitizer in there, toothbrush, toothpaste, toilet paper, paper towels. So a bunch of paper product in there. You can't have enough just in case. In a microfiber towel. Microfiber towel will help you clean your glasses or lenses, you know, camera lenses, stuff like that. And also you can wet it with some cold water, and it's a good way to cool down and get the dust off your face. Here's my secondary med kit. I've got some gauze in there. I've got a couple other blood soak-up devices in there. I've got some Band-Aids and some naproxen sodium for pain. I also have an additional flashlight stuffed in the bottom. So I hope that this helped you out. As I stated before, this is my baseline kit. It's moldable, modular, so that I can not only use it on this bike, but the other bike. I can start here and I can change it to how many ever days I'm going, where I'm going, and what I'm doing. So this is where you want to start. I hope it gives you some ideas. My kit is not going to be the same as yours. The kind of the ethos, I guess you would say, that you need to have is that you want the maximum amount of comfort for the minimum amount of stuff. Don't jettison stuff just for 2 ounces of weight here and there. You've got a motorcycle that can handle it. If you're 2 pounds of bags that go with the things that keep everything together and keep it protected is going to keep you from lifting your motorcycle, you probably have other issues. But I think keeping things together, keeping in bags, keeping it modular so that you can move stuff around, keeping it organized to the specific locations on the motorcycle, easy access, and obviously weatherproofness of your stuff is paramount. So I really hope this helped you out, give you some ideas, and you can start building your moto camping kit. Well, our little spilled lunch is all over. We have picked up our area. The storm right back there is coming in. The winds are picking up considerably. I'm going to jump back on the bike and head back home. I appreciate you watching. I hope this video was helpful in your camp setup. Please comment, subscribe, like, and share. Adios. Don't forget to ding that bell.